Hello and a warm welcome to World This Week by latestlaws.com. This is a weekly program, so hit the bell icon to get notification for new videos. My name is Sheetal June, Associate Editor, latestlaws.com, and let's begin with Supreme Court this week. This week, the Supreme Court dismissed Kerala Govt's petition against the takeover of the Thiruvananthapuram International Airport by Adani Enterprises as per a 50-year concessionary agreement the company entered with the Airports Authority of India. The Apex Court observed that as far as cooperative societies are concerned, mere disapproval of the decision by one single member of the minority cannot be the basis to negate the decision of the general body, unless it is shown that the decision was product of fraud, misrepresentation, or was opposed to some statutory prohibition. The division bench of Justice D.Y. Chandrachud and Justice Hima Kohli held that a government cannot misuse the removal of difficulty clause to remove all obstacles in its path which arises due to statutory restrictions. The bench added that allowing such actions would be antithetical to the rule of law. Misusing the limited power granted to make minor adaptation and peripheral adjustments in a statute for making its implementation effective to sidestep the provision of the statute altogether would defeat the purpose of the legislation, the court observed. Another division bench of the Supreme Court, consisting of Justice M.R. Shah and Justice Krishna Murari, observed that unless the concurrent findings recorded by the courts are found to be perverse, the same are not required to be interfered by the High Courts in exercise of powers under Section 100 of the Civil Procedure Code. The top court has observed that eligible family members will still be entitled to receive family pension if the deceased has remained a work-charged employee in the establishment and was receiving wages as remuneration. Next, we have Delhi High Court. The Delhi High Court has held that merely because a criminal case is registered against the driver of the offending vehicle, negligence cannot be inferred, even on the touchstone of the preponderance of probabilities. The single-judge bench of Justice Naveen Chawla restrained 8 rogue websites from illegally broadcasting matches pertaining to the T20 Men's World Cup. The Delhi High Court has dismissed the bail application of JNU student Umar Khalid, arrested under UAPA charges, among others, for hatching an alleged larger conspiracy in the Northeast Delhi riots of 2020. The court observed that the protest against the Citizenship Amendment Act (CAA) and the 2020 Northeast Delhi riots were prima facie orchestrated at various conspiratorial meetings which were attended by Khalid, adding that the allegations against him are prima facie true. The bench also observed that under UAPA, it is not just the intent to threaten the unity and integrity, but also likelihood of the same, which is covered under Section 15 that defines a terrorist act. The division bench of the Delhi High Court has held that appeal against any final decision or order passed by Armed Force Tribunal can only lie before Supreme Court. The court clarified that in terms of Section 30 of the Armed Force Tribunal Act 2007, the Apex Court is the sole appellate body and there is no provision to approach any other forums like the High Court. Now let's have an overview of other High Courts. The Uttarakhand High Court, while setting aside an ex parte decree and remanding it back to the family court, observed that judgments and orders have civil consequences, therefore they should be decided judicially on the merits of the case. The Bombay High Court has opined that forcing parties to litigate over an issue in matrimonial matters, especially when they have come to a settlement and decided to reconcile, is hazardous to society. The division bench in this view quashed domestic violence charges against the husband, even though Section 498A IPC is non-compoundable offence. Relying on Supreme Court precedents, the court stressed that interest of justice is supreme of all the laws and cannot be also sacrificed at the altar of technicalities. The Gujarat High Court, while dismissing prayers of son who claimed back wages of his deceased father after a long delay of 20 years without any justifiable reason for its condemnation, observed that writ petition under Article 226 of the Constitution of India cannot be turned into a remedy to invoke pious obligation of the son. Moving on to miscellaneous news. In setback to St. Stephen's bid for minority reservation in admissions, the Supreme Court has refused interim stay on the Delhi High Court judgment and said that 100% weightage will be given to the CUET score this academic year. The Allahabad High Court has issued notices to Attorney General R. Venkataramani and Advocate General of Uttar Pradesh Ajay Kumar Mishra seeking their views on petition challenging the constitutional validity of the Waqf Act 1995. Social media giant Twitter has argued in the Karnataka High Court that the central government issued blocking orders in respect of tweets, content and account without following the relevant Supreme Court guidelines. It said that its own rights were also affected and thus challenged the confidentiality clause invoked by the centre. The Bombay High Court has agreed to hear a petition asking for cancellation of long court vacations such as Diwali, Christmas and the summer. The court shall take up the petition claiming violation of litigants' fundamental right by this and calling it a relic of colonial era after it will assemble post Diwali. The Kerala High Court has quashed the anticipatory bail granted to writer and social activist Civic Chandran by Sessions Court in the controversial provocative dress order. The Ministry of Finance has revised the jurisdiction of Debt Recovery Tribunal and introduced exclusive bench for cases pertaining to default of ₹1,000 crore and more. The notification ascertained that tribunal benches at Mumbai, New Delhi and Chennai shall have the new and exclusive jurisdiction. The Centre has appointed Justice D.Y. Chandrachud as the 50th Chief Justice of India. He shall be sworn in on November 9th and begin a tenure of 2 years. In the last, we have international news. Journalists in the United States could be one step closer to enjoying better legal protection as two major legislation, the Protect Reporters from Exploitative State Spying Press Act and a federal anti-SLAPP strategic lawsuit against public participation bill would block federal law enforcement from subpoenaing journalist records and protect media against certain lawsuits. The Law Commission of England and Wales will be reviewing private international legal challenges involving cryptocurrencies through a government commission project to obtain clarity on how international law approaches emerging technologies like cryptocurrencies, digital assets, and electronic documentation. The Switzerland government has sent a draft law to Parliament seeking to fine people who violate a national ban on burqa up to 1,000 Swiss francs. Turkey's parliament has passed a law imposing jail term for up to 3 years for journalists and social media users for spreading disinformation as described in the provision. The Interpol has launched the first ever metaverse specifically designed for law enforcement agencies worldwide during its 90th General Assembly in Delhi. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. This is a weekly program, and to get more information, please check the description box, and for weekly updates, like and subscribe to our channel.